fantastic Nidalee player. A bit like giving Nidalee to Impaler. You probably are better taking it away from them and putting them onto something they may not be so comfortable on, because every single time Nidalee's been available, Furion has played it. Furion has been aggressive. He's put super hardcore vision control in the enemy jungle and then been able to get in and out and counter jungle freely. So I think that's probably the reason we're seeing it become first pick worthy versus Manalite. And it means that now there's 2 whole rotations or 2 whole picks here for the Manalite side to get a Cogmore, which wasn't banned, and potentially the Braum, and it's going to get locked in here. Smiley on that Cogmore. Okay, well, Smiley has been doing a fantastic job when it comes to kiting, when it comes to stutter stepping. Let's really put that to the test by putting him on a Cogmore. He is going to have that Braum to protect him. We've talked to death about how good at protecting Braum is, but the Cogmore, we've seen it once so far in the promos. It didn't win the game, and honestly, it was just not that impactful at all. Yeah, it was on Sam Hodge with Pariah, but they were so far behind, it was difficult to make that Cogmore effective. Really, really interesting that we seem to see a variety of teams either... in general, we're seeing the 2 top teams, Manalite and Renegades, put a lot of pressure on banning or picking Cogmore. Renegades have just banned it, and Manalite have obviously banned it and picked it. The other teams don't seem to see him in the same light, so I'm really interested to see whether what we consider our real second seed in terms of skill rating. I'm really interested to see how they make use of the Cogmore, because none of the other teams seem to have put much pressure on it. It seems to have this high priority, but we've not actually seen anyone use it to great effect. We've not seen why it's got this priority, and hopefully this will be the... Well, I say hopefully, I don't really mind who wins, to be quite honest. I actually want GLB to win this one, just so we have 3 games. But fingers crossed we actually see a Cogmore come in and we see the power of that and why it's been such a priority. On the other side, the Poppy is going to be available for Eruptor to grab again, as well as Lucian. Yeah, Eruptor is going to get Poppy this time. I keep calling him Eruptor. Yeah. Actually, one of his friends actually messaged me saying, someone keeps calling him Eruptor. I'm like, no, I'll just make sure. Every time I say Eruptor, it reminds me of Reptar off the Rugrats. You know, the T-Rex, Godzilla. Oh, we've had a very dinosaur-themed stream today, apparently. Yeah, I'm a big dinosaur fan, as are all 4-year-old boys. But we are going to see Lissandra and Kindred going to be locked in here by Manalite. So Lissandra locked in here, going up against the Poppy should be fairly easy. I don't think you can block her glacial path or glacial. I think it's glacial path with the steadfast presence. So it's not technically considered a dash. I think it's a teleport type ability. So it's a blink, isn't it? Yeah, it's like a blink. So I think he should be fine getting out of there. And obviously has that range advantage versus the Poppy as long as she doesn't get too close. Can't be charged into. Furion going to be given the Kindred then, so won't be picking up the Elise, which isn't banned. They're going to take the Kindred instead, which I guess synergizes well with the fact that they have a Cogmore, allows them to protect that Cogmore with the Lamb's Respite should they have anyone dive onto them. Xyle potentially going to go for the Bard this time around, so a change of pace from the Alistair. They also managed to secure themselves the Lucian. It's actually going to be Poppy support and a Mumu jungle for Solzy. A Mumu jungle? I'm wondering whether this is a placeholder, to be quite honest. Yes, it's a long time since we've seen an Amumu. Actually, that makes no sense, because it's going to be in Italy jungle. Yeah. I think that's a placeholder, to be quite honest. I will double check. We are going to see Loza on the Zillion, though, and there's the dodge actually going to come out. So we'll just quickly swap the overlays over. But that is going to be... Amumu is a Nautilus. So Nautilus top lane, we've seen this in Korea, we've seen a little bit of it in the LCS as well. This is really starting to become meta. Yeah, so obviously it kind of flexed between two. We haven't seen Nautilus support in a while, but I guess I guess he's still, viable in that sense. But no, generally Nautilus currently has been played a lot more into that top lane. He just does so well with the build path of Rod of Ages, ZZ Rot Portal. Yeah. So it becomes a huge annoyance in that top lane. Nautilus does a surprising amount of damage, especially with that Rod of Ages. It's terrifying, actually. When that dot ticking when he uses his shield is just... Yeah, so Titan's Strength and his Riptide both do ridiculous amounts of damage, especially with the increased AP. It's like on A New Dawn, the cinematic. It's more like that Nautilus than it is the tanky Nautilus. Yes, so... going to have the Nautilus locked in here for... I imagine that would be a Raptor taking it into the top lane. It is very strong right now. He also does do pretty well with Strength of the Eight, with Undying Grasp, because what you do is with Undying Grasp with Nautilus, you generally pop the shield and then look for the auto attacks. You usually take attack speed runes on the Nautilus as well, just to improve his attack speed animation, because it's pretty slow. He's got the lowest base attack speed in the game, I believe, obviously.
Which, fair enough.
Fair enough, given his character model. He is weighing a huge, weighty anchor. If you could swing that faster than 1 times a second, I'd be very impressed.
Yeah.
So, you then trade well when you use Titan's Strength, because obviously you have the shield, you do AoE dot damage as that shield is being auto-attacked with, and you get free health back. It's pretty decent, allows him to trade quite effectively.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, we'll see how that comes into fruition. We're just trying to get everyone back into the lobby. Just having a couple of issues getting him back on this one, but should be able to get everything underway once again for these guys. I want to talk more about compositions, but I do not have a photographic memory, and I've kind of already forgotten the compositions that we've got coming in.
I can't remember the Manlight one, unfortunately, because I was so focused on the GLB Blue one, but GLB Blue was Nautilus top lane likely, Nidalee jungle, Zilean mid once again, and then the Lucian Poppy bot lane. So got a bit of catch potential.
It could be it could be Poppy up in the top lane.
Yes.
And, it could be a support Nautilus.
It could be a support Nautilus indeed. Like I said, supportless is definitely viable there. I believe on the side we had Kindred, Cogmore. It was kind of like a sort of attempt to protect the Cogmore as much as possible composition.
Let's take a look at this then. This is our table of who is officially in our main season of the ESL UK Premiership. Here we go with Team Infuse, who won our previous 2 seasons, in fact, reigning champions 2 times in a row now. FM, who came second. Choke and Exert is tied for 3rd and 4th. And then RNG Banditos, who have managed to qualify themselves. And we're going to find out within the next 2 games whether it's going to be Manalite or GLB Blue joining the Banditos at the bottom of that table. We are back into Champion Select, and we're just going to be rattling through these picks. And it is going to be Alessandra for Rifty up in this top lane against the Nautilus.
Yeah, and they will have Nautilus versus Lysandra. Loza on that. Zilean once more. Larson is the only pick I believe we weren't able to see. So we'll just see which pick he goes for here. That was the very quick pick that we unfortunately missed right at the end as it jumped through. Actually going to take the Braum, which they're just going to trade with Hado. And then the final pick here for the Manalite squad will be their mid laner. So we'll just have to quickly see what they choose. I don't even think they got round to choosing it as the Champ Select quit out beforehand, but obviously it makes a difference because they wouldn't be able to change what it is anyway.
Well, we did see the dodge coming out. I would have preferred that it was kind of you do the dodge after the Champion Select's finished rather than partway through, but here we go. This is going to be the final pick. Slowly but surely ticking out. And let's have a look at the composition so far from Manalite. Obviously, we've got a very aggressive jungler. We've got that Kindred, which Kindred in general, both in competitive play and in solo queue and in our own tournament, we've seen it kind of very, very influential. Not just in the early game, but also because it's an AD carry, it kind of never falls off. It just continues to ramp up.
Yeah, no, she ramps up incredibly well. You can stack up that passive quite a number of times, and so you can start to do some real damage. This is a pretty interesting composition here. You can kind of protect the Cogmore, but you really are relying on both Braum and Lamb's Respite to be the real form of protection for the Cog here. Gravity Field will do some work in that sort of sense, but they have got quite a nice composition in the sense that if they pile in onto the Cogmore, you still have to deal with both Lysandra and Victor.
Yeah, I really feel like they wanted the Zilean here because they banned out the Lulu. And they've got the Cogmore, and like Zilean and Lulu kind of fulfill that same kind of utility mid laner role. They do a decent amount of damage, but majoritively they're able to protect their team. I feel like they really wanted that. Yeah,
I feel like that may have been their choice, but if they really wanted it, they had 2 rotations to pick it up. They delayed that because they picked up the Braum and the Cog in the first rotation. If they really wanted a Zilean, which probably I think would have been a core of their composition, I think they would have picked up the Cog and the Zilean at the same time. The thing about this composition that they're running here is Cog isn't the only threat that you have to deal with. You have both the Victor and the Lysandra.
And Kindred, in fact.
Yeah, and Kindred. They're running basically zero frontline composition. You're really relying on Braum to be your steadfast guardian at the front there with that Unbreakable. So I'm kind of interested in how this is going to work. Usually you'll have Lissandra come in from the side flank. If you can lock up someone in that Glacial Tomb, you have a lot of damage that you can throw down onto them in the form of Victor Chaos Storm, the Laser, Furion, and Kog'Maw, all of whom are 4 threats really on this team. So this is like a quadruple threat composition. And as a team that is excelling really in single target damage, you're going to have to choose one of those threats to try and take out, and then you've got to deal with the rest of them.
Yeah, I'm very curious to see the interactions between Rifty and Loza here. Obviously, the Chrono Shift from Zilean, absolutely game-changing ability, but then Rifty with that Glacial Tomb, if he can, or Frozen Tomb, sorry, if he can lock up Loza and they can burst him down before he's able to get that ability off, that is going to swing the team fight in favor of Manalite, and then Smiley can just run away with the rest of the game, basically. Yeah,
I'm kind of worried for the damage again. I feel like it's slightly lacking on the side of GLB Blue. You're kind of, again, very single target orientated, and then with a quadruple threat is
very much relying on the Lucian.
Yeah, and also you have a lot of execute potential with the Nidalee, but you really are countered by Lamb's Respite. Once you burn everything to take someone out, Lamb's Respite kind of puts you in the position where you've committed to a singular target. You do play right into the hands of Manalite right here. You jump in, everyone will be barreling in. The Nautilus, the Nidalee, Lucian and Loza to an extent, just a little bit further back. You barrel in to kill one of these threats. Lamb's Respite comes down. Suddenly you're right in the midst of Manalite, and that is not where you want to be versus a Victor and a Lissandra, both of who can lock you up and do huge amounts of damage. So again, very careful gameplay that has to come out here from GLB Blue.
I think on the other side of that as well, though, you've kind of got, while they have a low damage composition, look at their opponents. There's not exactly many people that are going to need to take that much damage. So obviously they will have to play around the Lamb's Respite. They will have to play around the Frozen Tomb. But outside of that, they have a lot of opportunities to kind of blow people up if they can find one of these low health targets, which is basically everyone except Haddo.
Yeah, they can siege pretty well with, again, just having the Zilean there, but they never had the chance to siege last game. No. And there's huge amounts of wave clear from Manalite. The Victor Laser itself can clear entire waves once it's upgraded, and obviously then you have the can't remember, the Bile Ooze from Kog'Maw, and then also Void Ooze. Basically, right. And Rifty, obviously, with her Q, can also clear waves at some points as well. So, difficult to siege regardless because there's such good wave clear from Manalite. Just looking at this from a composition point of view, you're really relying on a Raptor to catch someone out here. Then they need to be able to barrel in on them and kill them before Lamb's Respite comes down. Otherwise, they'll be left kind of hanging. Do favour the Manalite composition coming into this one. I think they've got a slightly better composition, just in the sense that I do like compositions that run more threats because you have more chance to get ahead in certain aspects. So I like these kind of like triple, quadruple threat compositions because you're giving the potential for anyone in your team to step up and carry. And everyone has that potential to output the damage needed. When you're running like a low threat composition, which I feel like the GLB Blues is kind of a low threat composition.
It's kind of like if you've got one of these multiple threat compositions, you kind of have different routes that you can choose to take depending on how the early game goes. And whereas the kind of composition you've got GLB on, there's kind of one route that they have to take, and if that all falls apart, if they can't get that going for themselves, then it can kind of all slowly but surely fall to pieces, and then you're going to end up with a
end of the day, they're relying on a Raptor to use that Nautilus aggressively to catch people out, and then Solzy and Loza may be able to lock them up with either single target damage and another stun. Lemonite, obviously, on the Lucian is always going to be a bit of a threat, but again, even from the jungle, Nidalee has to get rolling pretty far ahead to become the huge threat that we've seen in the past that Nidalee can be. You starve Nidalee of gold, you don't quite play her right, and she becomes kind of useless in a nice way of saying it. She doesn't really have the same impact because, again, we've talked about this time and time again. Nidalee is a heavy damage jungler that is really reliant on a pretty high gold income. She doesn't really offer much else to the table apart from that. She doesn't have CC. She's not a front line. She can't get into the mix of a fight without being there to execute someone. So Salty's going to have a really solid game on Nidalee. And most Nidalees that we've seen this tournament have had really good early games. Impaler notably, Furion notably, both of them have had really good Nidalee games. But we have seen the other side of the coin, like you said. We have seen Nidalee struggle. Pariah and GLB last game showed what it's like to have a Nidalee that is behind.
Yeah, absolutely. And here we go with the second game of this best of three. It is GLB Blue up against Manalite. Manalite managing to take that first game in this series. And they're going to be able to win out that first trade as well, as Lozza's forced back to base.
I feel like there's a slightly more favourable matchup for Larson as well, because he can be a little bit more aggressive versus Lozza. He just has to be careful about getting caught up in a double bomb, because as a Victor, you are pretty low mobility. The only thing you have to peel yourself away from a jungle gank is having that gravity field. It's actually, against a Nidalee, is okay as long as you time it right, because if you time the gravity field to proc as soon as Nidalee is looking to jump in on you, you should remain fairly safe. But if you get locked up by a double bomb here, you're going to be a sitting duck for a Nidalee spear and execute.
Yeah, absolutely. And here we go with Smiley on the Cogmore. This is, for me, this is going to be the guy to watch for this game. Cogmore, we've seen a lot of priority in terms of picks and bans, but we've not really seen it used to great effect. Smiley has proved that he's a great AD carry last game, and we'll see whether he can really prove that in this game as well by being that force to be reckoned with. And look at that attack speed, even just at level 1, choking down that Gromp pretty handedly. And we'll see whether he's going to be that carry for his team.
Yeah, they are going to take that Gromp fairly effectively and fairly quickly as the Krugs return in kind for Lemonite and Xyle. Larson already just able to dodge out a couple of bombs in that top lane. Raptor, though, he might have a little bit of a hard time versus Rifty. Depends whether he can be aggressive enough and get the catches. If they manage to catch him as he's trying to glacial path out, that could be easy ganks for Solzy. He's just now starting to take that blue buff here.
Yeah, he certainly is. And in the meantime, Furion going to be mirroring that on the top side, going to be going for that red buff. But a little bit of a duel going on in this bottom lane. Haddo and Smiley did hit level 2, so they're going to be able to force their opponents underneath the tower, force the wave under the tower as well. Going to be down to Lemonite whether or not he can get this CS underneath the tower. Xyle, unfortunately, losing a CS for his AD carry just then. But, you know, sometimes that anti-synergy can happen. But we'll see how this one's going to pan out. I want to see. I mean, in terms of the junglers this game, we've got two, again, very aggressive early game junglers come out. Which one do you really think is going to be in the driver's seat here, the Kindred or the Nidalee?
Well, Kindred very luckily picked up that Scuttle Crab as her first target, which is always fantastic as a Kindred when you see a neutral objective become your target for the for your upgrade. But I do think in the earlier portions, Nidalee definitely is a huge threat compared to the Kindred who, yes, she's a big threat, but Nidalee can definitely usually output more damage. Haddo, though.
Haddo is in a lot of trouble. The Ignite actually going to be procced as well. Lemonite only just arriving in this fight, though. Smiley taking a huge chunk of damage. Does get hit by the spear, but they decide not to follow through on that one. GLB going to back away. They're going to be happy with the damage that they've done.
Here goes Nidalee looking for an invade here.
Yeah, they certainly is. That spear is going to land. Furion should be able to smite that one away, though. Will grab himself his blue buff. And that's going to be Solzy. Unfortunately, can't get it. Does get a nice little spear down onto Furion. And actually, he's looking for more as Xyle is heading on up as well. They're looking to try and get this one going. Furion locked up against the wall, forced to flash underneath his tower.
Unfortunately, the wasn't quite on point with Solzy and Furion there. They weren't able to lock up and get the charge and spear combo coming through. It just missed there at the very end. But I like the aggressive play coming out from Solzy here. He's far more proactive than we saw Fox on this Nidalee as he comes around to this mid lane.
And we talked about how Solzy was the crux of the team. He's certainly setting the pace of the game for his team right now. As he goes towards the mid lane, can't quite land that spear, and we'll have to leave and let Lozza do his thing on that Zilean. Just keep on continuing to farm up. Larson actually starting to beat out Lozza in CS so far, though. However, we saw that last game as well, and it didn't seem to matter that much.
No. Actually, you look at the way Lozza plays this Zilean, it is really effective in the laning phase. He throws down the bomb behind the minion wave just so the damage still applies to the minions, but he's trying to zone Larson as far away from the minion wave as physically possible. And that serves a purpose of two benefits. It means that Larson may not be able to catch some CS here and there, but also means that he won't be threatened by the return damage from that laser that obviously the Victor has in his toolkit. So two purposes that Lozza has when he's trying to clear these minion waves by applying that bomb behind them.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, we'll see how well he's going to be able to do that. Should be able to clear the... I mean, this is one of the things as well about Zilean. Even at level 5, he's able to clear these minion waves so effectively. And once Larson has head back to that base, that base, to his base, picked up that base. Once he's, no trouble in here. Once he's been back to base and upgraded his Hex Core, as I was trying to say about 4 times, he is going to be able to clear those waves very effectively with his own Death Ray. But we do have a gank going on up in the top lane. Eruptor has been caught up by that Frozen Tomb, but will be able to dredge line himself off to his tower and then spam out a couple of those cheeky taunts.
Yeah, and obviously had that Titan's Wrath soon available too, should he need it. It's a pretty strong tool. He's leveling that Riptide first. It is a better trading tool than anything else in Nautilus's kit. And versus Rifty on that Lysandra, you need to be trading at range a little bit better. As looks like Solzy coming in, going to clear this pink ward out. Knows he's been spotted, but the main thing is he starts to clear some vision here. It's Haddo and XD Smiley. They're looking just to play a little bit safe. Larson gets locked up with a double stun, but nothing will come of that in the mid lane. As he gets a return laser thrown at his face.
Yeah, both of them pretty much out of mana as well, so
yeah,
can't really do all too much. Furion being kind of bullied a little bit by Solzy, who's just... I mean, this is what we saw out of Solzy before as well, just completely taking control of part of the enemy's jungle, just basically saying, I get these 3 parts of the jungle, you get that 1/4 over there.
Yeah, and he's actually, again, aggressively counter-jungling too. He's going to maybe pick up this Rift Scuttler. He's definitely got a small advantage over Furion, just in terms of experience as well. Oh my word, Furion double lucky this game. Picks up another neutral objective for his mark, which is, again, really, really good for the Kindred, because the more marks you get in the early game, the better. That is really, really good for him. He's now going to look for the dive as well, as Rifty has just turned level 6, and Erepta has absolutely no mana here. Rifty, I think Erepta knows it's happening. He has already put that ward down, and Furion will just clear it out. Yeah,
well aware of the situation. Erepta will be able to get away with that one. And we see Lemonite and Xyle not really able to put too much pressure onto Smiley in this early stage of the game, and this is kind of bad news for them, to be honest, because that Lucian's such a powerful champion early on in the game, and so far Smiley on this Cogmore has been able to keep up basically perfectly in CS, and he's actually gone for that cull very early as well for that bonus bit of gold.
Yeah, he wants to just make sure he's getting towards that late game as physically possible, so he's gone for the cull, which, again, I've never seen in competitive play, but I kind of like it. It's
I mean, I can understand it. I think the issue with the cull is you basically forfeit the lane phase to some extent. You're not going to be able to ever trade with someone that's got Dorans. However, if you never intend on trading anyway, then that's not an issue.
Well, you just keep it for 100 minions, essentially. It grants you 350 gold, which is about the cost of it. So once you pick up that cull, I think that is the cost of it. I think 350 gold is literally the cost of it. So
I think you make a 100 gold profit by using it. Yeah,
you get 100 gold profit. It's not that much, but it does provide a small bonus. And especially,
I mean, that's like what, just about. Well, it's over 10% of a pickaxe. You know, it's significant enough to make a difference in the game.
Yeah, exactly. But also, it helps provide a little bit extra sustain, especially for Cogmore, who gets such huge attack speed bonuses from his W. 3 life on hit. That can sometimes be maybe 30 life that you can regain when you've activated Bioarcane Barrage, which is a pretty decent amount of life at the lower levels.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we'll see. So far, it's paying off for him, that's for sure. Only 5 CS down, and, you know, 5 CS is kind of neither here nor there. You can win or lose that by just going back to base. So we are going to see Larson grabbing his blue buff. And up in this top lane, good job so far by Rifty. He keeps on successfully winning out these laning phases in terms of CS. He's about 15 ahead of Ereptor this game, and is going to be able to push a few minions underneath the tower here. Ereptor doesn't have his teleport available, so won't be able to just jump straight back into lane here, and will end up losing out some of these minions.
It's a very interesting set of patterns we're seeing here, because the CS advantages are opening up in the mid lane and the top lane once more, and that's the biggest disadvantages that we saw for GLB Blue last game. They just got out CS'd, and over the course of the game that actually led to a fairly substantial gold lead. That was about 3,000 gold they were down in creep score alone. And we're seeing it again just happen. Eke out that gold lead in the middle just because of CS, and eke out that gold lead in the top because actually it's getting fairly significant now. It's 20 almost in both lanes.
Yeah, and I mean, you can start to see that a little bit in those gold leads. It's starting to get to around 300, 400, but it's not enough to make a huge difference. Haddo going to tank up that spear from Solzy as the fight kicks off. Xyle does knock up Haddo, but here comes Rifty. He's going in onto Xyle, who will just be obliterated. First blood goes over to Rifty, and the teleport is going to be cancelled by Ereptor.
Yeah, Rifty.
Oh, Loza, sorry.
This is what I talk about when you have high-impact teleport laners. And actually, looks like Ereptor's having to deal with Furion in that top lane also. As Furion went a little bit aggressive. But yeah, that's Lysandra is a high-impact teleport laner. Oh my word,
goodness.
Loza!
Chaos Storm comes out. That's going to force that Chrono Shift, and in fact, moves the Chaos Storm away to make sure that he doesn't proc that ultimate. That means that Loza has to go back to base now. He doesn't get that health back.
Yeah, I know. He knew that he wasn't able to pick up the kill because the Chrono Shift was used immediately. Did burn his flash for that, though. So it really depends on the pressure that Solzy can put onto him, whether it's worth it or not for that. But it does mean he gets some tower damage. He's not even going to stay around to auto-attack the tower, just let the minions do the work for him.
Yeah.
But, you know, Lysandra teleporting through, that is a high-impact top laner, I like to say it. Her ultimate has lots of CC in her kit. Really good impact that Lysandra can have when she teleports. I'd say a Reptile, had he teleported in slightly earlier, probably has a similar kind of impact when he comes into a fight. But unfortunately, the trigger finger was quicker for Rifty and manages to pick up first blood for himself. Only further push himself forwards in that top lane.
Yeah.
We're not even going to see Run of Ages for Erepta because he is just struggling now. You know, with that CS disadvantage, he's going to go straight for the Bounty Cinder and pick up the Spectre's Cal so he can start to sustain versus this top laner Zyle going on to Haddo.
Yeah, it is indeed. Haddo pretty tanky though. He's going to tank up that spear from Solzy, and look at the damage coming out from that jungler. It's going to be Lemon Knight trying to finish it, but he just doesn't have the damage. Smiley in the meantime just getting these free auto attacks off, but I mean, maybe this is just the cost of going for that call. Actually, has he gone for a second call? It's on 10. Oh, no, that's just the spectator block. No, that's on 100 stacks, I think.
I think that means he's got 10 stacks, 10 minions left to kill.
Oh, does it count
yes,
down? Okay,
it
right,
counts down, yeah. You start off with 100 and it goes down. I've noticed the number been going down throughout the match. So he's got 10 minions.
Can't say it's an item that I'm that well versed
No,
in.
it's not something you tend to see in competitive, but it does mean he's got 10 minions left to kill. Furion going to be spotting out a ward here with that Raptor buff. Solzy again, he's been very aggressive in that bot side of the matchup. It's probably the only lane that he's going to have some real success in.
Yeah.
I think he'd find it difficult to gank a Reptor. He's got a Reptor going aggressive onto Rifty regardless, gets a Riptide off there. Rifty already picking up that Negatron cloak means he'll be more than happy to tank up the damage from a Reptor in that top lane.
Yep, so Larson going to be heading back over towards this mid lane, just going to be clearing away these minions. He's going to be pretty happy. Once you get a couple of auto attacks off, you can just clear that minion wave with the Death Ray. So both of these mid laners kind of just happy to stalemate this one out and just farm up. Obviously, Larson is taking that advantage, as we mentioned earlier. Just going to use the tower to finish off these last two minions there. But overall, I mean, the early game in the first game of this series was kind of slow, kind of not that fast-paced. But this early game is kind of even slower than that. We've only got one kill on the board. Starting to see a bit of a gold lead, though. Manolite managing to get about 2,000 gold ahead of their opponents. And that's all in CS right now. Not even a tower has been taken.
Yeah. The later this game goes, though, I actually really like having a Victor with a Zillion. Oh, wait, so we have Furion very aggressive.
We might see a kill coming out at this rate as Furion. I don't know why I said there's no kills. There is a kill on the board, but Solzy is jumping into this Lamb's Respite, trying to get the kill onto Furion. He's not going to be able to. Nice flash from Furion. That is going to be the ultimate from Loza to keep his jungler alive, but he's in a 1 versus 4. Eruptor arriving on the scene, but I don't think they're going to be able to do all that much to turn this one around. I say that Loza's completely out of mana, so can't really help out right now. And actually, we see Rifty going back on towards Solzy. And both teams end up disengaging. Again, another fight without a kill.
Yeah, very close there, but it was the Chrono Shift from Loza that was able to save Solzy after he came out of that Lamb's Respite, and he was able to flash away as Erepta finally made his way down. But they're going to try and capitalize. They did have the healthier targets afterwards, so they should be able to pick up this dragon as Loza teleports back towards this mid lane. But the thing I was talking about before is that, yes, you know, you've got that Zillion. He's pretty good in the late game. I just prefer, you know, having a champion that can kind of match that late game power of the Zillion, and Victor is one of those champions. You know, he can just put out as much burst, if not probably better burst, than the Zillion can put out. As Erepta forced to teleport back to that top lane to clear the wave, will mean he saves his turret. Rifty not too keen to stay around, so won't pressure it as much. But a good early dragon for GLB here. They're definitely taking advantage of some of these pretty close fights they tend to be coming out on top of in terms of health values.
Yeah, absolutely. Going to reset that blue buff. And actually, we're going to see Haddo in a little bit of trouble. Solzy does manage to land that spear once again, so she'll be able to pounce on in, but decides that's not really a fight he wants to go for just yet, as Furion is just around this side. Larson was heading down as well. So GLB, rightly so, kind of decide to back away from that one. They don't really want to overcommit, and now we're going to see Larson heading over. That is going to secure the blue buff for Manolite. So good pressure from them just to make sure that GLB have to back away.
Yeah. And This is a bit of a conundrum now for GLB because, you know, they know that the later this goes, the more they're going to struggle, I think, versus this composition because, you know, Cogmore, Victor, Kindred to an extent, you know, it's going to be very difficult for them to deal with the mana-like composition. But then you've got to ask yourself, at what point can we start to fight? At what point can we start to try and force things? Because, you know, even with the Chrono Shift, you're still going up against Lamb's Respite. We have a lot of burst damage. We kind of rely on taking out a singular target, trying to pick them off as Xyle, again, not in a position to help this gank in the bot lane.
No, Solzy trying to come on in, and actually he goes for the re-gank immediately, does land onto Haddo. They keep on going for Haddo, but he's really not the target that they want to go for. Teleport immediately channeled, then cancelled by Rifty, as he realizes that that's not really going to go on through. That might have been a Reptor cancelling that one, to be honest. I didn't quite see up in the top lane, but we are now going to see Furion immediately starts to head in towards the counter jungle as he saw Solzy bot.
Yeah, it's very good. But then obviously Solzy not resting on his laurels, looking to counter jungle himself, but actually looks like Larssen trying to counteract that. Solzy just...
Oh my goodness, the damage onto Solzy. Larssen looking to finish this one off, and he flashes for the empowered auto attack. In the meantime, the bottom lane tower has gone down as well. A
little bit greedy from Solzy there. He was being thwarted by Larssen counter jungling his own jungler by taking the wolves away, but unfortunately he was a little bit too aggressive, didn't respect the damage that Victor was able to put out. Flash comes through and Larssen picks up his first kill of the game. Will only help him.
Look at the Cogmore with Ginsu's just push this wave straight on in. It takes him about 4
Furion has slain a
seconds. In the meantime, yeah, Furion just managed to get a tower dive on up in that top lane, so that is going to be 2 out of the 3 outer towers now taken out in favor of Manalite. They're starting to get a little bit of an advantage here. Larssen actually managed to pick up a red buff as well when he got that kill. But we have a fight down in the bottom lane, and it's going to be Xyle. Look at his health bar. Melt! Smiley just destroying, and that is the power of attack speed, my friends. Look at those mastery emotes.
If you think Lucian can
stunt onto Loza, actually. Loza could be in a whole lot of trouble. The Chaos Storm is going to be on cooldown, but Larssen's going for the dive anyway, and in fact, tanking a few too many tower shots. Solzy, maybe they're looking to turn this one around, but I'm not sure he can really go for the 1v1. Misses the spear and immediately gets turned that around. Half his HP chunked out.
That is Victor for you, my friends. You hit that laser, you do a lot of damage. You know, you think that Lucian can proc the concussive blows on Braum, but you think Cogmore with biohacking barrage, probably far quicker than that. That is probably the quickest I've seen.
He's just finished his Hurricane as well.
Wow. This is going to be Cogmore already entering that later stage of the game that we didn't see Sam Hodge get to.
He's got 2 items at 18 minutes. This is pretty terrifying, to be quite honest.
He's keeping the cull as well, obviously, because it still provides that 1 minion bonus damage, I think. No, it immediately disables this passive. So, but he's keeping it. So what, you know, it's like, why not keep it? Basically, it's 7 attack damage and
3 stats, I guess.
Yeah, 7
you
attack
still get
damage.
that gold later on if you hand it in. So why not? But look at this split push that he's now able to do with the 2 items that he's picked up so far. They're both basically like, I can clear minion waves super fast now.
Yeah, and he is going to be a real threat to deal with. You know, he's already hit a point that Sam Hodge I don't even think made it to in the Pariah game that we saw. So he's a real. We'll start to see. I think we're going to start to see the real power behind the Cogmore pick that Manalite was so desperate to avoid, but now have managed to pick it up for themselves. And XD Smiley, what a better AD carry to give it over to. Should be able to start to chunk down this tower as well with that bioarcane barrage pretty quickly. You see here, he'll start to. Oh, it starts to work on that turret.
Look at him go. Just loving life right now. He's going to vomit all over that tower, and it is going to crumble. And actually, Larssen not found himself in the best of positions right now. Doesn't have his flash available, but he's looking to just kill Xyle anyway. Xyle is going to end up going down, and that's going to mean Larssen can get away with this one. Eruptor looking to finish this, but the heal comes out. Smiley just melting Eruptor's health bar. Furion has escaped with the Lamb's Respite as well, as Smiley's in trouble, but he survives, and he gets the turnaround kill. Look at that kill as well for Rifty onto Loza, and that is a 3-for-0.
And they get the turret. This is ridiculous from Manalite. This is why Cogmore, they were so afraid of giving it away to the enemy team. Cogmore now picks up those Berserker Greaves as well. Honestly, Solzy should have killed Smiley right there, but he backed out thinking that he'd already picked the kill up with the takedown, and then he was just able to return the kill for Smiley. But again, this is just, individually, the Manalite team are more powerful in every aspect than the GLB blue side, so there isn't much that they can do. Again, I said it's a pretty low damage threat composition, really, when you think about it. You've only got the Nautilus and Nidalee that's behind, not really providing that much in terms of damage. She's actually had to go those Mercury treads because she's so afraid of being locked up by the Lysandra and also the gravity field, so this is just looking less and less like a threatening composition coming out from GLB Blue, and more like Manalite are going to storm away with this. And look at Cogmore, he's just going to start to work on that dragon.
I want to see him go for the Blade of the Rune King as well, just for the % damage for Nautilus. I'd love to see that come out. We'll see what he does end up going for in the end. I can't say I'm an expert on Cogmore builds, as he's only kind of just coming into the meta, but look at that. Attack speed not quite high enough to finish off that ward without the Bio Arcane Barrage available. Mahado going to be able to dodge away from that spear and head on down towards this bottom lane. Larson consistently just shoving out this mid lane, and look at his CS, 232 at just 21 minutes. This guy is the definition of farming up a storm right now.
But again, you're seeing the huge CS gaps open up between the solo laners.
Oh, Solzy in trouble. Furion looking for the jungle 1v1. Gets the Chrono Shift out, and again, this Chrono Shift used on a target that doesn't end up going down. Now Hado, once the Chrono Shift's gone, is looking for more, and they're going to be able to find it. Smiley gets himself his hat trick. And now, honestly, this is starting to fall apart a bit for GLB. They're 9,000 gold behind at a very early stage in this game. Hado is going to be looking for a fight, but he's kind of all alone at this stage. Loza going to be trying to escape, but he doesn't have that Chrono Shift available, and he will go down. Eruptor now going to be the next target, but actually Zal's arrived on the scene and just gets obliterated. Double kill comes through for Larson, and they immediately head towards the mid lane.
Yeah, Hado performing that pincer maneuver quite well, managed to lock up that Nidalee and then move through and secure some more kills in his team. But this is what you have when you have this many threat composition, that you can't be sure as to which area they're going to come from. And it's, you know, you have the Victor coming in from the side, the Cogmore coming from the other, and now they're going to go ahead and try and take this Baron and just shred it down with the Cogmore.
Just look at his HP bomb melt away. This is absolutely crazy damage. And as well, the thing is, with the Rage Blade as well, look how much damage his ultimate is doing. That living artillery just
about 500 to 600, isn't it?
Exactly,
It's pretty
big.
Big.
It's insanely high. And I mean, Smiley just, how do you even deal with this right now? And he's not, it's like you say, it's a multi-threat composition. So you've got this terrifying Cogmore that's just so hard to deal with. But then you've also got a 401 Victor that's well over the 10 CS per minute, like, sort of marker.
Exactly, but it's also because just, you know, you don't have the kind of CC to deal with it on the side of GLB Blue. You've got singular target CC that is, I guess they saw the Cogmore and thought we have to pick to deal with a single target, weren't expecting again another quadruple threat composition to come their way. And now they have to make that decision. You know, you rely on Loza hitting a multi-man stun, or you rely on nothing.
Yeah.
And it's very difficult to rely on that because you can't have Nautilus CC everybody in the team. He can pick one target and lock them up with depth charge with dredge line. Doesn't work for the rest of the threats. And who do you focus? You know, do you focus the Victor, who has, you know, the equivalent of 3 items now, or do you focus the Cogmore, who has got 3 items now? You know, it's too difficult for GLB Blue now. And I think they've got to a stage where, you know, you have Loza, and who is he protecting with Chrono Shift? What is that Chrono Shift useful for? You know, who are you going to give it to that's going to have an impact if they die and come back to life?
Yeah,
can you name anyone on GLB Blue that you think is worthy of a Chrono Shift?
I mean, Lemonite right now, he has got a whole lot of farm for himself, so he's definitely not something to just be ignored. He can definitely do a lot of damage. It's just, he's never really had a situation where he's going to be able to be outputting that damage.
But even if okay, so say you use it on Lemonite, who's going to be applying the threat when Lemonite is dead and then coming back from the Chrono Shift while the rest of the team run rampant?
Well, they definitely are behind, but that's going to be the use of the Chrono Shift in this fight as Loza finally goes down. That is going to be Zao dropping as well. And I mean, Chrono Shift's great, but if they can obliterate your health bar 3 times over in about 2 seconds, it's not really going to make much difference. And look at Smiley just strolling under towers right now. He's not afraid, and Larson flashing for a kill. Solzy going to be going down. That's another kill in favor of Manalite. And honestly, the first game was so close, and this one is just, I mean, they've yet to lose a tower. They've yet to even lose a kill.
Yeah, exactly. A perfect game coming in from Manalite with an absolutely ridiculous composition in terms of the threats that it provides. And again, I just feel like they picked the Zilean, and you picked the Zilean for no one, really. I feel like Zilean should be used in a protect composition where you have a real big hyper threat. There is no hyper threat on the side of GLB Blue. You know, yes, Zilean's bombs are great. Yes, they do quite a bit of damage when you're in the late game, and they can provide a really, really awesome stun. But also, you know, you need to use that Chrono Shift on someone that's useful. You see there, it goes on to the Zilean himself, and he will just die immediately afterwards.
Look at the damage coming out from Smiley. He has gone for that Blade of the Rune King as well. And that, in the space of about 30 seconds, is 3 inhibitors falling. And now they're onto the Nexus Towers. Manalite, they were like, okay, this is going to be a close matchup. Game 1, incredibly close for a long time. We're going into Game 2. Come on, 26-minute victory, boys. Let's just end this one in style. 14-0. Flawless game aside from one dragon.
And I think they've beaten their own record for the quickest game in the Premiership so far.
I think so, yeah.
I'm not sure, maybe one of the...
25-44 is
Yeah, I don't know how quick some of the Null Renegades games were. I didn't actually keep an eye on. They may have been closer, actually.
I think the second one...
Yeah, I think that was like
quicker,
around 20 minutes. But again, they've beaten their own record that they had